With Donald Trump's return to the White House, the world is watching closely to see how his administration will engage with Africa, particularly with the revolutionary governments of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. These three Sahel nations have made it abundantly clear that they will no longer tolerate Western interference, and under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore, Colonel Assimi Goïta and General Abdourahmane Chiani, they have actively severed military and diplomatic ties with the United States and its allies. The question now is, will Trump attempt to restore relations, or will he accept the reality that these nations have moved beyond the era of Western domination? To answer this, we must analyse the history of US-Sahel relations, the rise of revolutionary leadership in the region, the West's exploitation of Africa's resources, and the new global alliances forming as the Sahel turns away from Washington. Additionally, we must assess whether Trump's America First foreign policy aligns with the interests of the Sahel's new leadership, or if the rift will continue to grow. Historically, many African governments have cooperated closely with Western powers, exchanging access to natural resources for financial aid, military support, and diplomatic backing. However, this relationship has often been criticized for fostering dependency rather than genuine economic development. In recent years, a wave of military coups in the Sahel has ushered in a new generation of leaders who reject Western influence and prioritize national sovereignty. This shift is best exemplified by the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, and General Abdourahmane Chiani of Niger. These leaders have taken decisive actions to cut ties with Western nations, arguing that the West has long exploited Africa's resources while failing to address key security and economic challenges. Captain Ibrahim Traore, who came to power in 2022, has positioned himself as a leader willing to challenge Western dominance in Africa. He has made several moves that underscore his commitment to national sovereignty, including expelling French troops. In early 2023, Traore ordered the withdrawal of French military forces stationed in Burkina Faso, citing their failure to effectively combat terrorist threats. Strengthening ties with Russia. His government has openly embraced military cooperation with Russia, securing arms deals and military training programs. Nationalizing key industries. Traore has pushed for greater control over Burkina Faso's natural resources, ensuring that revenues benefit the local population rather than foreign corporations. His leadership has been widely praised within Burkina Faso, where many citizens view him as a revolutionary figure, challenging decades of neo-colonial exploitation. In Mali, Colonel Assimi Goïta, who has led Mali since 2021, has taken a similarly confrontational approach toward Western powers. Key actions include expelling the French military mission. Like Traore, Goïta ordered the withdrawal of French forces, ending decades of military cooperation, banning French-funded NGOs. In response to perceived foreign interference, his government banned numerous Western-funded organizations operating in Mali. Pivoting toward Russia, Mali has increasingly relied on the Wagner Group, a Russian private military company, to combat terrorist insurgencies. Goïta's administration has maintained that these moves are necessary to protect Mali's sovereignty and ensure that foreign partnerships are based on mutual respect rather than exploitation. In Niger, once a key ally of the US in the Sahel, took a dramatic turn in 2023 when General Abdourahmane Chiani led a coup that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. Under Chiani's leadership, Niger has ordered the departure of US troops. In a historic move, the Nigerian government announced that American forces stationed in Niger would no longer be welcome. Exposed alleged US exploitation, Chiani's administration revealed details of agreements that, according to him, unfairly benefited the US while providing little to Niger. Aligned with new partners, Niger has deepened its ties with Russia, China, and Iran, further distancing itself from Western influence. One of the most significant moments in this geopolitical shift came when General Chiani addressed the Nigerian public in a televised speech. He criticized the US for what he described as unjust agreements and blatant exploitation of Niger's resources. He stated, In matters of cooperation between sovereign states, the primary concern must be mutual interest clearly defined in a formal agreement signed by both parties. However, since 2012, the people of Niger have been left wondering, where are our interests in this agreement with the United States? Chiani went on to highlight several grievances. 1. He claimed that US military operations in Niger were conducted without proper agreements, violating legal protocols. 2. Despite maintaining a military presence, US forces allegedly refused to provide Niger's government with vital intelligence on terrorist activities. 3. Niger was reportedly forced to cover operational costs for US military aircraft instead of receiving compensation for hosting American troops. 4. While the US pays $63 million per year to maintain military bases in Djibouti, Niger received nothing for hosting American forces. 5. The US was accused of interfering in Niger's internal affairs and dictating the country's choice of international partners. Chiani concluded with a powerful statement. The CNSP's decision to terminate this imposed military cooperation marks the end of our self-inflicted humiliation. We are no one's subordinates. The actions of these Sahelian leaders are not occurring in isolation. They are part of a broader reckoning with centuries of Western exploitation of Africa. From the transatlantic slave trade to colonial rule, and now to neo-colonial economic control, Africa has long been treated as a resource to be plundered rather than as an equal partner. Consider the following. Africa is home to some of the world's most valuable minerals, including uranium, gold, and lithium. Yet, most of these resources are controlled by Western corporations, with little of the wealth staying in African nations. Western nations continue to offer financial aid that often comes with strings attached, forcing African countries to adopt policies that primarily benefit Western economies. The West has a long history of meddling in African politics, supporting coups and regime changes to ensure that African leaders remain compliant with Western interests. By rejecting these patterns, Traore, Goita, and Chiani are not just changing policies, they are challenging the entire framework of Western dominance in Africa. By rejecting these patterns, Traore, Goita, and Chiani are not just changing policies, they are challenging the entire framework of Western dominance in Africa. Donald Trump's return to power raises several questions about US-Africa relations. Unlike Biden, who championed multilateralism and democracy promotion, Trump has historically taken an America-first approach, focusing on economic deals rather than ideological alignments. With Trump back in power, there are a few possible scenarios for how US Sahel